joined by JMU All-Conference safety Jacob Thomas, one of our two team captains here in today's press conference. If you have any questions for JT, please put them in the chat, and we'll get to them if we have time. But first, we'll kick it off with things in the room with Katie Harper from the Daily News Record.
JT, you heard us ask Coach and Wayne, but there are a lot of people in the country right now that are overlooking you guys as just kind of being that group of 5 team that's in the playoff. For all of those people that maybe don't know this school and this brand of football, what do you think they should know about JMU?
This school has been good since I've ever found out about JMU. We've always been upping our standard, upping our expectation for this team. To move up to FBS in 2022 and then to be on this national stage at this point is I think kind of crazy to me, but it's something that we've set a goal to. But if you turn on the tape, you can see how we play and how physical and tough we are on film. So we're just we're grateful for this opportunity, but we're ready for the challenge.
And people will say that you guys are the underdogs in this game against Oregon. Is that something that you even allow yourself to view yourself as an underdog, or is it, hey, kind of as Wayne says, a nameless, faceless opponent?
Yeah, I think outside noise is outside noise, and they don't know what work we put in here through through January and the summer and fall camp and the whole season now. So we can take that underdog mentality with us. We probably played better with it. But we're going in there, going up to Eugene, Oregon to win. We're not just going to, go play that other team and compete. We're going up there to win. So.
Preston Comer from The Breeze.
As a senior and someone who has spent his whole career here, how do you kind of go about making sure this is, I guess, a normal prep week, like Chesney was talking about, like making sure that that outside noise doesn't get to you?
Yeah, he says it in our team meeting every single day. It's not special, it's just important. So we have to go about it like, any other game. Yes, there's going to be, media talks and outside noise through all of it, and, we see all of it, and that's fine. But, this is just another opponent that's on our schedule. So, we're going to go about it the same way we go about everything else and, put the work in through practice all week and then, go up there and play them. So, yeah, it's a big game, and obviously we all know that. But, for us, it's just another challenge on our schedule.
And a lot of weapons on Oregon's offense, but I wanted to ask you specifically about their backfield. They've got 3 backs that have had a lot of success this year. How have you kind of seen them on tape utilize those 3?
Yeah, they all run hard. They're all explosive. They all fight for extra yards. So, they have Zero, who's, their big back and use him on short down and distances. But, he can also run. 23, I think he's a freshman. That's their explosion guy, and number 6 does everything. Catches the ball out of the backfield. He's elusive, between the tackles. So I think they do a great job at, plug and play each of them. They have 2 backs in the backfield sometimes, so that's another challenge that we have to face. But those are 3 really good running backs. So
let's go to Jarvis Heron from WHSV.
JT, I know we talked to you right after we found out that you guys were one of the 12 teams. Did you like having a couple extra days just to kind of take in the moment and give you a chance to reset, or is that kind of one of those times where you just want to dive right in and get right to work and preparing for Oregon?
Yeah, I think me and Trent were talking to our defensive coordinator, Coach Hitch, right before we had that talk with you guys. We were ready to get started on Oregon right there and then. Yes, it's very special, in a big moment for JMU and this whole community that we were able to get into one of those 12 teams, but at the end of the day, it's another game, and we got to get prepared for it. So all the time that we can get to watch film, study tendencies, all that type of stuff is what we wanted to do. So yes, it was a great feeling to get in, but we were just ready to start getting to work.
Lane Casadani from CBS 6.
Where is your defense better than you were in maybe week 4 or 5 of this season?
Yeah, I think we've come together as a whole a lot more. I think we understand the intentionality and the why of why we're calling certain things on different down and distances, and understanding if a team is trying to sequence us, or if they're in the alumni zone, or if they maybe got a turnover from our offense and what they're trying to do. So I think just the preparation and understanding why we're calling certain plays on certain down and distances is very important for us.
And have you heard from any of your friends or guys you used to play with that might be at the group of 5 level at other schools just saying, hey, go win one for us, or we're behind you, or, I'm glad you guys got this opportunity? Have you heard from anybody in the last week or so?
Yeah, I've heard from a couple different people, definitely people I didn't think I would hear from. But yeah, I think, being on the G5 level as we are as, Tulane, it's, people just want to see us compete. But, I mean, we feel like we're one of the best G5s in the country. So, yes, we're going to go compete. But, we're not just going up there just to go play a game. We're going to win. So, yes, I think it's special that, 2 G5 teams got into the 12-team playoff. But, that's not the goal that we had. We're going to go win this game. And then, whatever happens in the future happens in the future. So,
JT, we got a couple questions from Zoom here. First from Mike Barber from the AP. What's the mindset of this defense on third down, and what makes you all so good at getting off the field on those third downs?
Yeah, I think Coach Chesney talked about it. It's what we do on first and second down is really the biggest thing. But, on third down, it's really get after the quarterback and play a lot of man coverage. But, it's really just read our keys. We know what type of tendencies they want to do on third down, so different type of route concepts, what type of down and distance they want to run, different type of route concepts. So I think it just all goes into the preparation that Coach Hitz does with us. We have our unit meetings on Wednesday and Thursday about third down and what they want to do on certain down and distances. So, having that mindset and seeing different pictures when you're out there, it's kind of like, okay, we kind of know what's coming.
And I know, not to make it awkward, but he is sitting in the room off to your right here. But what kind of teammate is Trent Hendrick?
He's a teammate everyone should want on their team. He's one of I've had a privilege to be around him for 4 years now, and it's been an awesome 4 years. And, he's really the vocal leader of this team. When anything happens or we're huddling on the 50-yard line, he's making his voice heard, and he does such a great job at everything he does as a leader. I've looked up to him, trying to get my vocal part out there. But I think he's just done a great job with this defense and this team as a whole, of just being that vocal leader of this whole team.
Let's go back to Katie Harper here in the room.
JT, you've been a part of obviously some preparation weeks for bowl games, but now to have this be the college football playoff, how different is that prep now compared to what you maybe experienced the last 2 years at this time?
So I think, 23 was kind of weird. We had a bunch of different coaches in here trying to game plan for a triple option offense. So I don't really count that type of preparation. But last year, I think it was good. Definitely could have did more. But the preparation we've done this year for opponents is just out of this world. And Coach Hitch has done a great job, and my position coach has done a great job as well. But, we understand what's coming, and you see different pictures on the field that you're like, okay, I saw that in practice. I know what's kind of going to be here. And when you have, different guys calling out different plays on the field, it's kind of like, okay, you have Trent running, zone split or inside zone just based off the backfield picture. That all ties into the preparation that we did throughout the week.
Preston?
When you look back to the one loss on the season against Louisville, their points on offense really only came on 2 or 3 explosive plays. When you look at the film on Oregon, do you see any of that explosive play potential from them as well?
Yeah, I think Coach Hitch said they're averaging, almost 7 yards a run and 13 yards a pass. So that's their type of offense. They hit a lot of explosive plays. But, so going back to the Louisville game, I think we were pretty sound most of the game, but you can't let 2 explosives like that happen for 2 touchdowns. So that's something we have to get better at, and limiting explosives. We know it's going to happen. It's the game of football, but, it's how you react after that. They're going to probably tempo after they hit an explosive play, so got to be keyed into our reads and what we're trying to do. So, we know it's going to happen, but, we're going to be prepared for the challenge.
We have another one from Zoom from David Teal. Does previous success JMU's had against the P4 programs such as UVA and UNC fuel your confidence heading into a game like Oregon?
I think so. We don't go into a game thinking, oh, this is a Power 4 opponent. We go into the game thinking this is just another opponent on our schedule. So we have to prepare the same way, go out with intentionality, throughout the week. And, I think it's the brand at JMU is just competing, toughness, and out-physical the other person. So, it's not more so looking at, oh, this is a bigger school than us, or, this is a lower school than us. It's going out there and doing what we can do, play in and play out. So,
to the stage, Trent Hendrick, all-conference linebacker, and the other captain of this JMU defense. We'll take questions in the room. We'll also take questions on Zoom, so please get those in the chat when you have a moment. But first, we'll start with Katie Harper from the DNR.
Trent, kind of like you've heard me ask all the other guys so far, what do you think people need to know about this JMU team and what makes you guys good and deserving to be at this point?
We just took care of what we needed to take care of, day in, day out, and week to week, trying to go 1-0 every single week, and just beat the next opponent and being where our feet at has led us to this point right here. And so this is just another game for us, like JT and Ches, keep repeating this game isn't special, it's just important.
And what are your thoughts on maybe being viewed as the underdog team going into this game?
Yeah, that's just outside noise. We're confident as a group as what we have going internally. So the outsiders obviously, they're a bigger program, bigger recruits, stuff like that, more resources. But it's football. It's a game. At the end of the day, it's fully capable of winning this game.
Let's go over to Preston Comer with the Breeze.
Trent, what would you say the biggest way this defensive unit and Coach Hitchler have kind of grown over this season from day one to now to get to this point?
More understanding as just a unit, we meet as a unit multiple times throughout the week. Everybody's in there as far as your nose guard to your corner, learning about the other person's position and talking about the why as to why we're doing this, why we're calling these plays and seeing the pictures and, just really being on the same page. I feel like we've been able to come together week in and week out, just building on top of what we've done previously. And I feel like it's making us a more cohesive group.
And Coach was talking about Oregon's offensive line and how unified they are.
Yeah.
They've also got some pretty big tight ends that can run block as well. What are you kind of seeing from them in the run block game?
Yeah, they have a really good unit up front. Like you said, good length up front. Guys with long arms, they latch onto you pretty good. They open up holes for the good backs. They got like a three-headed monster type of backfield. So prepare for that, for them to sub guys in and try to keep them fresh. And that's the type of ball we play though. We have a good run stuff in defense. Versus a good rushing offense. That's been a battle we've seen multiple times throughout this year, so I'm excited for that.
Jarvis Heron from WHSV.
Trent, where do you think this group has improved the most just from the last time you guys did play a quote-unquote power opponent? Where have you all improved the most from that game week 2 to now here in mid-December?
I'd just say overall execution, on all three levels of the game, offense, defense, and special teams. In games where we're playing higher opponents, the air is thinner. We preach that on the defensive side of the ball. But, the room for making mistakes, that sometimes you can make more mistakes and just, outpower a team that's lesser than you. But this won't be the case. It'll come down to our execution. It'll come down to our precision and our intentionality when we go out there every snap that we play.
Let's go over Lane Casadane from CBS 6 in Richmond.
Throughout your career, what has worked and been successful for you in getting ready for an opponent that might be a little bit bigger, a little bit faster than you're normally used to?
For me personally, it really isn't, about the size or the talent level of the opponent. For me, it's my preparation of seeing what am I seeing, especially as I've gotten older in my career. When I study my tape, I look for certain pictures and certain tendencies out the offense, out of certain players, in situational football to get what I'm seeing and how can they possibly attack me in the defense that I am in. And I feel like it's just all mental. The preparation is all mental. We're all here at the FBS level. We're all fully capable to go out there and play against each other. It's the difference between how you prep and how you go out there and do your job. And that's the difference between a scout team guy and a guy that plays and, or a starter here versus a starter at a bigger school like Oregon. It's all the same time level. Everybody's still capable. It's just how are you going to separate yourself as far as your attention to detail.
And I know Coach has preached that next year is next year.
Yeah.
And, everything surrounding this program, including him and including you guys.
Yep.
How have he and the staff made this as normal as possible when it really isn't?
Yeah, I'm glad that, the world can see what type of man that Chesney and his staff is, through his transition, comparing it to other schools and other programs' transitions with their coaches and, going into next year and just – dissolving that. But I feel like he's gone about it in a really transparent, mature way. He's communicated with the team, especially the captains of the team, JT and myself, about the process and about everything that he's been doing. When he first brought it up to me and JT and to me, the first thing he said was, we're going to go out and win this conference championship and we're going to go to the college football playoff. And, that's the goal and that's the mission that we have right now with this year's team. And, we've done just that. I'm glad that y'all can see that, but we always knew what type of man he was. And, with success, that's just going to come, in the nature of this game and college football world. That's just going to happen. So, I'm definitely thankful for him for the way he's gone about this process and wishing him the best of luck.
Let's go over to Connor Bergen from WHSV.
Trent, I know we've talked a lot about with this outside noise. I know national media has taken it to a whole new level, especially with the G5. When you hear James Madison is not worthy of that G5 spot or to be in this position, what's your message to them or just to the national media as just a response to it?
I mean, I feel like this is the purpose of the expansion of the college football playoff. I mean, the format was expanded to be able to allow teams like James Madison and Tulane to get chances to go on a national stage and prove that they belong. I feel like the fans personally got tired of seeing the same teams in the college football playoff, and they wanted something more entertaining. And that's exactly what we brought. And my message to the other programs who might feel some type of way of us being in over them is back to the being where your feet at, taking it game by game, going 1-0 every single week. If you take care of business every week, you'll reap the benefits at the end of the season. So.
Let's take a couple questions from Zoom. First from Mike Barber from the AP. Trent, I believe you guys talked already this week, but in your conversation, you talked about your recruiting visits to JMU. Do you remember any specific games you attended and anything that stood out to you on those visits?
I remember just streamers, being blinded by streamers on those visits, going against FCS opponents, seeing that team dominate like that, being the first FBS class, getting a standard and getting a visualization as to what I'm going to do when I commit and when I end up playing in that purple and gold, and that just goes to show how we've been able to make a seamless transition from the FCS to the FBS level to where we are now, going to the college football playoff, and that's just to dominate, go dominate your opponent, and that's what we've been able to do as a program. And I'm glad to see this program be able to build from when I was getting recruited to where we are now.
JT and Coach were both asked, but we're going to ask you too. What's the mindset of this defense on third down, and what has made you guys so good at getting off the field?
Get off the field. That's what I tell everybody. Please get off the field. No one likes a new set of downs. Coaches, players, especially the linemen. But yeah, get off the field. We put in the work on the first and second downs to put us in a good position to where we should be able to dominate on third down, just statistically and mindset wise. Teams, no one in the country is good at third and long. Even if your numbers are good, third and long is still an advantageous position for us. So to just get in that position and then go attack the quarterback up front and then hold up out back, get body on body coverage, and compete at the top of the ball.
Got a couple more from Zoom from Colton Poole from Hero Sports. Did you ever think this program would be in this position when you first decided to go to JMU, playing in the college football playoff?
We first got announced that we were in the college football playoffs. I remember talking to JT about this exact conversation about how when we first got here, just from young guys, just trying to get our feet wet, with JT, he not even being on scholarship as we came in, just as to where we are now, it's just so much growth, man. And I feel so good for this program and this area, this town, to be able to build and become a football powerhouse, man, because the talent is here. The talent is here, and the culture especially is here. And I feel like this program will continue to rise.
Trent, talk about your improvement since last season, and what did it take in terms of off-field work to make those strides on the field, especially considering you had a new strength coach coming in and a new linebackers coach?
Yeah, shout out Coach G in the weight room, obviously, for getting our bodies prepped and keeping us prepped and keeping us fast and strong throughout the whole season, continuing to gain strength and speed throughout the whole season. He's big on science and big on our performance, and he reads us the numbers and all that stuff. So I appreciate him. But Coach P, Coach Plungus, coming in from when he first came in, and Coach Hitchler, taking my preparation to the next level as I got older this year. Like I mentioned earlier, seeing those pictures and getting in on the off days, getting in early, sitting in those D-staff meetings with them, guys like JT, Aiden Gobira. It really pays off on game day as far as my clarity and my vision as to what I'm seeing and being able to tell the defense what I'm seeing, the D linemen, specifically Terry Lockett and Amar Thomas, the guys who are usually lined up in front of me, just letting them know what I'm seeing. Hey, counters coming, hey, and zone coming, stretch coming, what I'm saying? Third down, sequencing down, stuff like that. Just being able to communicate that to them has been able to take my game and their game to the next level. So I'm just appreciative for the defensive staff for being able to take my preparation to the next level.
Let's go back to Katie here in the room.
You and Wayne both talked about the mental approach and how important it is when you're heading into a game like this one this Saturday.
Yeah.
When you think about your career here, how much do you think you've grown mentally to kind of have that sound approach?
I feel like the mental strides that I've been able to take is the separation for what I've become as a player coming in as a freshman. You know, not knowing much as just a young linebacker, and that's the nature of the position. It's hard. It's like a quarterback of the defense. You really don't know what you're doing in high school. You're just going out there and running and hitting because you're bigger, stronger, and faster. But at this level, once you realize, okay, my job on the defense, then it's what is everyone else's job surrounding me, knowing where my help is at. And then to get the elite level is what is the offense doing and how they're going to attack me based off of what defense I'm in and what they need out of this down. And, just being able to do that and see the pictures, knowing what you're going to get on certain downs out of certain formations with certain players in certain spots, has been able to just take my game to the next level.
Any other questions for Trent? All right. Thank you, Trent.
Thank y'all so much.